Hello you channel awesome CEOs, Jim Sterling here, and this is Bitcoin versus Brain. Now, I'm not sure what they mean by that. If you're unfamiliar, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, which means only the Loch Ness Monster can use it. But it's quite popular on the old internet. A lot of people want it to replace money. The great irony of Bitcoin versus Brain is it costs 99 American cents. So you need to buy real money to buy games about Bitcoin. There are quite a few Bitcoin-based games on Steam. I mean, there are quite a few everything-based games on Steam because everything's on it. But this is one of several Bitcoin-themed games, Bitcoin versus Brain, which you have to get with real money. But let's play it and see what it's all about, shall we? Yes, here we go. Alright, so we've got a really shitty homemade Eye of Sauron in the middle of the screen, and it shoots little bitcoins at one-eyed brains. So that's cool. These brains have sort of tails, I suppose. These ones have top-down baseball caps, although it's a little hard to tell what they are at a very brief first glance. You've got to kind of look at it for a moment and say, oh yeah, they are. We're getting a lot of screenshots. We're getting a lot of achievements while we mindlessly blast at brains that aren't really heading towards us. Like, they sort of appear in a vague direction towards us. Brains that, I must point out, don't really seem to be headed towards us. The Bitcoin sprayer in the middle got a bit faster. It's like they spawn with a path headed towards us, but they stay on that path, even if some of them are off by pretty wide angles. So we did get killed last time. Here we are playing again. We just kind of unceremoniously got dumped into the game over screen. Health seems to be denoted by the, well, those honeycomb structures, the hexagons up there in the top left corner. And health goes down really fucking quick, with no audiovisual feedback. That's something I talk about a lot, especially on this show, because it's often very lacking, and it's kind of important in video games. But for us, we're sort of fucked, because you can't tell when you're taking the damage, which is French for damage. And let's take that time there, slow things down, and the health, that's good for us. And also very good for Bitcoin, because more health means we can shoot more bitcoins at cycloptic brains. Oh fuck. They've sped up again. That shield's very good, but we really do need some health, because we will just die and not really know it. Well, we will know it when we get the game over screen, but we won't know how close we are unless we're keeping one BDI on that ever-dwindling health bar in the middle there. Look at that. We picked up a fucking... Oh, there we are. It really is a sad affair, this whole... Yeah. Like, you can get free sound effects for just, like, an explosion or something, just to give your death a bit more pomp. I mean, at least it's got sound effects elsewhere. Normally, you're lucky enough to get a shooting noise and a dying noise, but we got that for the gunfire, the bitcoins, and the brains. So that's good. That's about all there is to it. Actually, it doesn't have noises for the things dying. Oh, that's on me. For some reason, I thought there were. But I look again, or hear again, and find out, no. It is just, because if you don't hit anything, it's just still the pew noise, the little pew pew. But the brains just disappear with no effect whatsoever. Even so, even finding that out, and being a bit let down by it, this is still better than a lot of games on Steam. I know that sounds weird, but here I am, firing bitcoins at JPEGs of brains with eyeballs and arrows and broomsticks coming out their asses. And I'm happy just because there's a sound effect in it, which is miles above what a lot of games do that we look at on this series. I mean, I picked this one up because it looked like it might vaguely resemble a real video game, which a lot of the ones don't. And on that count, I'm happy to say it does. I mean, it involves some gameplay. And, I mean, not a lot of gameplay, but, you know, there's a fun challenge in trying to spot the little blue circles. There are dynamic light changes with the background. Like, it's lacking in a lot of areas, but it resembles video games, and that's something. At the very least, it's good for Bitcoin, which, you know, could do with its profile being raised. With hot, officially licensed games like this. It's not officially licensed, but I like to imagine this is the official game of Bitcoin. And consequently, it's very good for it. You do take a lot of damage when a brain touches you. I mean, I suppose they've got to account for the fact that the brains aren't really trying to kill you. You just seem to be unfortunate in that you're stuck on their collision course. I mean, like, what, maybe 50% of them are actually heading towards the player thing in the middle. Hesitate to call it a character. No, give me that. There we are. See, look at that. I was vaguely into it a bit. I was just a little bit into it. I do like it when they can't even bother to name their achievements, though. Like, this gets points, I suppose, for not being just a bargain basement achievement hunter game made out of some vague assets. Like that one company that just spews achievement spam games onto Steam in the tens. Like, I'm too busy getting on my high horse now to play the game. Not that it matters. I mean, here I am worried about playing the game correctly when a lot of these developers aren't even worried about making a game correctly. Should we play it again? I mean, we can do. I can sit here and just click a mouse and talk. Just as soon as I think of something to say. There we go. I'll come up with something in a second. The thing is, I can't really talk about the game anymore because I've done that. What else is there to say? I missed a blue circle, it went off the screen. Oh well, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. I ain't got a lot to report really, outside of games. I've just been trying to crunch through a lot of good ones. We got some good games to talk about, which I know I keep promising you. But I've still got to play a bit more Ni no Kuni, I think. And a bit more Kirby Star Allies, which I got yesterday when it launched. And the other one. There's another one in there somewhere. Ghost of a Tale. I've got to talk about Ghost of a Tale, which is alright. It's not quite as good as I was hoping, Ghost of a Tale. I mean, you always hope that a game about a mouse with a hat on it is going to be excellent. But that one, not. I mean, it's still fun and charming and what have you. But pretty much every quest is wander around looking for lots of little pieces to an item. And they get a lot of mileage out of a comparatively small area, a small gameplay space, which I'm usually a fan of. But when it's all populated by the same scavenger quest, it's a little bit... Anyway, I'll stop myself from reviewing other better games before I've even put those out. But I really am just looking for anything to talk about that isn't this. I haven't really been doing a lot else lately because I've just been so focused on getting the games played. I haven't played any of my tabletop stuff in a while. We're talking about doing a Vampire the Masquerade game and maybe recording the audio of it. Put a little podcast out. That might be fun. But outside of wrestling and video games, I haven't really dedicated my time to much else. And I know some of you are sick of me talking about the wrestling. But it's like I said on my social medias earlier today. You know, I talk about video games for a living and perform at wrestling shows for a hobby. So if there are any hot, outgoing, successful people want to get in touch with me to do sexing, Then butter yourself up and come on over, mate.